Kowalko, and I have a big pleasure and honor to be here with you in the name of 8,000 European fundraisers who for the first time heard of your efforts and your organization and welcome you in the family of European fundraisers. I'm very proud to be here. The goal of my speech is to tell you about the status of fundraising profession in Europe. I'm going to tell you about the diversity of what fundraisers do in different countries across Europe. Many mistakes have been made, and many successes have been achieved. So we can learn a lot from each other, and I hope to share with you a bit of this knowledge. Maybe it will help you to develop your profession faster and better. Hopefully. This is my city, the main market square in Krakow, and right around the corner of one of these streets there is a seat of our Polish Fundraising Association, and this cloth hall, the big building in the middle of the market square, was the venue of last fundraisers meeting, European Skillshare. 20 countries were represented, and we shared also our knowledge. So this is the source of what I know. Our meetings, our sharing of what we know and what we achieve. This is the present situation. In 2002, fundraisers created an umbrella organization of national fundraising associations. Its seat is in Brussels, its office in Berlin, and we want to have all countries of the Council of Europe to become our members. As you see, there are 2 points in the far east. It is Georgia and Armenia. After last November's Skillshare in Krakow, these countries have started to organize their own national fundraisers associations. And I hope that in not long, Israel will be the next orange spot on this map. As you see, borders of Europe are extending, and the definition of the continent is slowly changing, but I think it's in a good direction. So I have nothing against, and nobody of us. Shai and the board of your Israeli Fundraising Association have written a letter of intent to establish strong relationships and collaboration between Israeli fundraisers and the European fundraisers. And now the board of IFA is looking for the best way to have you in our family, to establish maybe for the beginning a special kind of membership. And this is there is a letter saying about this, and I'm handing it now to Shai in the name of IFA. This is how we look. This was in Barcelona 2 years ago. Some 20 countries were represented. Here in the middle there is Mette Holm, our Danish president of the European Fundraising Association, and former president Marita Heibach from Germany, and all other countries. As you see, this is a joyful community, people who like each other, who meet each other frequently, and we really feel together. And these are some numbers and facts. You can see how many fundraisers we have in concrete individual countries. So we have 2 types of membership in different organizations and individuals. For instance, you can see that in Netherlands you have 2 organizations. One is for organizational membership and the second for individuals. The same in Sweden. But the most of countries have only one organization with usually 2 types of membership. And it gives together over 8,000 people declaring themselves attached and engaged in the profession. It is not a huge number. When we compare it to the United States, for instance, their Association of Fundraising Professionals have over 30,000 members, only one organization. And it is not the only one. There are others with more members. But it's a question, as you know, of tradition, of strong cultural and social links, of long independence and liberty. So this is the origin of our knowledge and also a kind of reference point, the America. Fundraising is quite new for Europe. Even in Great Britain, it's been a new idea for some 10 years, even 8 years. Some universities didn't raise regularly money for decades, and now they are implementing new methods, new technologies. Even the British government have introduced a matching funding scheme. So each university is getting another pound for each pound collected from private sources, a kind of motivating system, so that universities don't rely only on public sources. But it's new, only for 3 years now. So there is a bright perspective, bright prospect before us, and what it will be, the profession of fundraisers in the future, it depends on us. We have a blank card open, and we can fill it with our deeds and with achievements. Maybe the most important achievement of the European Fundraising Association is its certificate. There is a curriculum and syllabus composed by experts from 7 countries. They have realized a project named Eurofrat, and it was testing the ways and methods of training and certifying fundraisers. 7 countries run through a 1-year course, and they have defined what is best and what is necessary for each fundraiser to teach him. And now we have a very renowned and wanted certificate. For instance, in Germany it costs about 9,000 euro, and it takes 2 years to get trained and certified. This is the most difficult curriculum that they have composed. In other countries it usually takes from 6 to 12 months and costs a bit less, but it's still demanding. For instance, our first certificates in Poland were handed just 2 months ago, and you can see how they looked, having the first certificates in hand, full of joy, because it was a good reward for a big effort. Our fundraisers in Poland have another requirement. They have to collect money during the course. Actually, all the money that is invested in the training must be returned after a small campaign. We required of each of them to collect about 2,000 euros during 6 months, just to test whether it's successful, whether the training was effective, and if they can only talk about money or collect money in reality. And after the period of collecting money, we have discovered, we've counted, that they have collected 5 times more. So a proof was given that once you start fundraising, it works. And it's harder to stop it than to develop. This is how it works. About the profession of fundraising. If I ask you about the reputation of the profession of a driller, for instance, people who drill the ground to look for petrol or anything else, what would you say? If you don't know a single driller in your environment. It is the same about fundraising. In many countries in Europe, nobody heard of fundraisers. So during our training courses, we usually explain what it is about. Fundraising, it is raising money, that it is a Polish word or Ukrainian word or a Czech word. And if you want to become it a real or national word, you should click the right mouse and add it to the dictionary. Then it is your national word. Simple operation that you can adapt the word to your language. And then we usually tell people to pronounce aloud the sentence, a fundraiser is a specialist in fundraising, and usually this is the first time they pronounce this word in their lives. This is how it works. Then, on the other hand, in Europe, you have Great Britain, very advanced fundraisers. And this is an example of how they work. In February this year, I visited Jewish Care. It is a house for elderly people. And this is a part of their plan, of their fundraising plan. They collected money to demolish and then to build a house for elderly people. And this is how the pyramid looked. 40 million pounds from one donor on the top of the pyramid. Actually, the pyramid itself is a proof of quality of this profession, because you can easily distinguish a plan written by an amateur, someone who is new to the profession, and someone who is trained, experienced, and knows how it works. Usually a pyramid appears in his plan. And usually this pyramid has different methods of gathering money, different kind of relationships, different kind of thinking on each level of the pyramid. So you saw, on one hand there is no knowledge, no associations with the word and the term fundraising, and on the other hand, large amounts of money collected by one small organization. In Great Britain, they are very advanced in ethics. On the website of the Institute of Fundraising, by the way, you should get interested in their national convention, which is annually in July in London, and there's a big gathering of excellent speakers. So they have elaborated 29 ethical codes or standards saying how to behave, what to do to stay ethical. For instance, examples of agreements with fundraisers. Examples of rewarding fundraisers. Each method of collecting money has its own standard. For instance, that when you collect money in the street, you can make only 6 steps with your potential donor. 3 steps toward him and 3 steps with him. If you make the 7th step, you're out of ethics. You're breaking the law. So as you see, standards are very precise, and there is usually no doubt whether you're ethical or not. And what we do in Europe is sharing this knowledge and experience. And usually each country comes to a moment when they take care about ethics, because it is very easy to spoil the reputation of the profession, but it's very hard to restore it afterwards. So what we care for in the European Fundraising Association is really promoting this idea of having national fundraisers associations in each country. For instance, in Russia, we are working with them for 5 years now, and there is no result. There are 2 strong centers in Moscow and in St. Petersburg, and there is no one solid leader who would say, let's establish one association, let's become the voice of fundraisers. And it is bad, it is wrong, we think, because if anybody calls himself a fundraiser, he should be ethical from the very start. Because once there are scandals or some mistakes, it will be very hard to promote an ethical profession like you do in Israel. So what I see here looks very wise, because you care for ethics from the very beginning, and you will be rewarded, I am sure. Rewarded by fast and visible growth of your community, of your respect in society, and so on. For instance, in the ethical codes in Europe, there is a visible and strong difference between what must be done, what can be done, and what should be done. So this is an example of one page of some ethical codes. This is about payment and performance management. So you see 3 different terms: must in red, ought in orange, and should in green. Because different organizations come to different situations and circumstances. Sometimes it is justified that they pay even a percentage